Yo boys, back with another video. Today we're going to be doing Rogue Priest, kinda, it's more like assassination slash sub. I just wanted to get some content out. I did have a Streamlabs, you know, mess up. It was like, wouldn't let me log into my account, so that's why there wasn't a video last night. Uh, but if you want to know when I'm live, I post in my community, and I also have notifications on my Discord as well. You'll basically know from everywhere that I have, you'll know that I'm live. But we're going to start this game off. We actually ended up killing the rat here. So when you're facing a warlock, what's good to note here is you don't want to just go after them, especially a really good lock. So we know Maldiva, everyone knows him. We knew he was good. I'm doing viewer games, and I'm pretty sure he's doing viewer games. And we waited to get cooldowns back, and then we went up there. And as you can see, this is where we all have full cooldowns, other than him having PS and Kyrian file. But as you can see, he still almost beats us. So we end up killing, and then we reset. And that's what you do when you 1v1 somebody and you know that they're good. Just reset, get cooldowns, and then go back up there. Because as you can see, we almost die even though we have every cooldown. And that's just the power of Warlock and casters. They're just really strong. But here, we're playing Vendetta one shot, and he ends up walling, I end up cloaking, and then after a cloak, we're in Necro Shield just in case. So we Necro Shield his fear, get his thing, and then before he can click anything, we just banish for the extra crit, and he's GG. So GG's the Maldiva. He put up a good fight, but overall, you can't be a god among men. Here's another game where this was a kind of awkward game. Anytime you face a demo lock as assassination, especially one-shot assassination, I usually just go the healer. Whenever I can kinny, I kinny. Whenever whatever I can do. Now, what a lot of people don't know is you only need to trade on Vendetta. Usually, like 7 times out of 10, you know, you'll you won't need a trinket unless like maybe there's mind games, maybe they have like cosmic trinket, maybe they're playing double DPS. There's certain situations where yes, you have the trinket, but if you're 100%, don't trinket, just hold. If it's Vendetta, sure, then click it. But just assume every assassination rogue is running the one shot build, which means you can't really survive their build as a druid or without like pet sec or like wall. So here I think he ends up trinketing at 100%, and that's why they lost. If he just holds his trinket and he just AFKs like way back, he didn't even need a CC. If they just AFK, they just auto win. They just us and we lose. But a lot of people don't want that. So we end up almost dying to pets here, which kind of sucks, but that's the game. So we end up blinding the Warlock. He ends up getting a really good Nelf. I end up kidneying him here. And as you can see, he ends up trinketing. That's where they lose. He did not need a trinket. He was 60%. My guy's not mind games. He still has his pets to peel for him. He was pretty fine. I end up fainting here. So all we have to do is save our trinket for the druids. So when we continue the druid off DR, what we're gonna do is we're gonna trinket his fear or his stun or whatever. We actually necro shield, so now they can't do any CCing for like 3 seconds because of my necro shield. So we end up doing our one shot. We get our bleeds up, and he actually almost lives. So he ends up actually living. So if he, I don't know, all of a sudden his heals were just not doing anything. So my shift kind of countered him, and I guess he didn't have NS heal, so he couldn't top himself, and he ends up getting taken out. He actually ended up iron parking the wrong target too. So he ended up iron barking the Warlock for some reason. So that also is a big L. But yeah, we end up getting the W. Anytime you're facing Warlock, like I said, try to wait for cooldowns, especially when you know they still have all their cooldowns. This guy has double wall. He has relentless. He has trinket. He has burst. Basically has every cooldown that's possible other than soul rot. So you definitely got to be careful because if you do go out there, especially even if it's a 1v2, you can still easily die because it's Shadowlands. You don't really any spec can kill you. I wouldn't. I'd be there's never a situation where you're being too careful in Shadowlands. You can be it doesn't matter. You have to be super careful in Shadowlands because you can die SO just like that instantly and it won't even matter. So here we actually end up killing him and nothing. He just AFKs out at this point. So fresh old W. The next game here, I think this is when we started playing with the yeah, so this is with the Feral Druid here, and this is not a easy matchup. Now, if they play good, they won't really lose, but obviously a lot of people aren't really good per se. A lot of people just click cooldowns because they want to do something or they need to do it. But in reality, if they just traded properly, they'd be fine. So if my guy just feigned a sickle and swarm or his berserk goes, then he's fine. So if he just saves that for his berserk go, he counters him hard. He just feigned death, literally takes all of his bleeds off him, gets sickle off him, all that good stuff. He legit doesn't have to click anything. So here we're waiting for the hunter to come out. Anytime you're facing a, as a double DPS, and especially when you can pull it fully stun, you want that opener. That opener is really crucial. And just remember, do not step the hunter. Even if he's on top of his flare, you're just gonna have to go in, because as you can see, he's gonna have trap right under him. If he's just standing there and you see his nameplate cooldown and it says he's used trap, it means it's right under him, which means if you step him, it's gonna trap you. Like my guy leaps over there and it actually ends up getting him trapped. And he ends up stunning too, so now we have to reset. When you're playing with a rogue, let the rogue stun. The rogue needs to be stunning all the time, if possible, because his stuns aren't going to be able to get cooldowns. 4 3-second stuns are not going to get anything. My guy ends up getting PI. As you can see, he ends up popping off. I end up disarming. Surprisingly, he feigned death's air. I guess he thought he could feign death. I thought it maybe disarm. I guess I was trying to think of why he would feign death. So I guess maybe he thought he can fade this, or I don't know. I really don't. I'm trying to like think of other ways, but that's the only situation I see. But we end up smoke bombing. That's where he did not have to trinket. So now my guy can sickle, and as you can see, he feigned this again. So that's just twice of a feigned death that he used for no reason. So now he can't feint the blades, and now he has full blades. Now that we get PS, we have trinket, and we end up getting turtle right here with a blue with the echoing eviscerate, and we end up getting dome. So we get all these cooldowns because this guy didn't save feign death for when he needed it. My guy unfortunately ends up getting he kind of went to the long side of LOS, so he ends up dying here. And then as you can see, he heals into mind games, and that's what kills him. So it was unfortunate, but my guy has Gnome, so if the priest saved Dome, they would have won. I end up trying to sap here. Unfortunately, I can't. I still have Vanish, so I'm not in that big of a deal. The goal in this situation is to Vanish, sap the pet, and then go. Because if you sap the pet, he can't pet sack himself. Or if you have blind. The CCing the priest is kind of not really that important when he doesn't have Dome. He can't really do anything in a Shadowy Duel that would affect me other than AoE healing. But at that point, it's like he already has Trinket. He's just going to Trinket anyway. So we sat the pet. We're going to kidney. We're going to cloak instantly so it can't fear us. He tried to fear us, and we end up cloaking. He almost ends up living because obviously sub-rogue. And as you can see, I get an actual huge, big old damn. But yeah, 4-set procs is the only reason that I'm able to Shadowy Duel people, or if my trinket procs, like really hard, like 30Ks. So it's either, if the only time I'm ever able to kill somebody is in my trinket, or if a 4-set goes. Now if I don't, then they don't die. There's been almost every other game it happens to where I can't kill them, I can't finish the kill. Like Warriors, I can't beat them because they're too tanky, and I just do no damn. Anytime I open on a Windwalker, I instantly evasion too, because as you can see, we end up evasioning his stun. Now they have no stun. We end up almost killing him. Unfortunately, he's playing with a shaman, so he's getting really fat heals. But we've gotten trinket. So at this point, we can kind of run away. Now we are still attacking him. My guy's putting the bleeds on him. Now all we're gonna do is off DR. We're going to kin him, Shadowy Dome, use our trinket, and he's basically dead. So he's already 70%. I kin him here. We end up bladesing, and as you can see, he ends up getting taken out. He can't heal him in Shadowy Duel. Shaman's right on top of him, and now we just have to kill him. And we still have Vanish, we have Cloak, we have everything to dispose of, and as you can see, if I needed to, my guy could cycle in the Shaman and then off heal. But it's pretty much over. Enhancement Shamans are actually getting a huge buff in Dragonflight. If you guys haven't seen the buffs, I might make a video on it. You guys can let me know if you guys want to see that. But yeah, enhancements are getting huge damage buffs, I'm pretty sure. So I think enhancement's going to be really good in Dragonflight, which, to be fair, I think it deserves its chance to actually be viable. I mean, obviously, Turbo, it's not terrible, but it's definitely not, like, the best in slot. But I think Turbo is going to be a huge thing in Dragonflight, especially with an enhanced buff. It's going to be like Arms Warrior enhancement, which is actually really good, especially when Fury Warrior got nerfed. Sub-Rogue and Outlaw ended up getting nerfed, boys, which kind of sucks because Sub-Rogue isn't as that good. It's really bad, actually. Obviously, it's good in this situation because these guys have no gear. They have like 100k HP, which means they are in probably 1800 gear. And I'm in full 2100. So it might look like I'm doing a lot of damage, but in reality, these guys just don't have my gear. If they had my gear, they wouldn't die like that. Like this guy has 109k, usually he would have like 130k with my gear. So on the videos, obviously it's gonna look like if you watch a peekaboo video, obviously he's not doing that much damage to fully geared people unless it's like a rogue or a DH, because those two classes just take unhealable damage, especially if you get a 4-set proc. But as you can see, we get him to 50% here. I ended up almost sapping him, which kind of sucks, but he got the heal off first. We cheap shot him. I should have disarmed him instantly before I started CCing, so he couldn't just lay on hands himself. So I should have disarmed, which was a misplay on my part. So, but it wasn't really that big of a deal because we've got wall and trinket. The two main cooldowns I need for a warrior is wall and trinket. So all my guy needs to do is off DR. Now he could cyclone the warrior and then keep cycling the warrior until the DR and the rest of the druid's off. And then what we do is he can cyclone druid and then I kinny the warrior and we get a good setup. Basically treat it like a rogue mage. Anything they can CC is basically like a rogue mage. You just say rogue mage. Because at this point all I'd have to do is cheap shot the druid, he'd cyclone, and then I kinny the warrior. Basically the same dynamic, but he ends up popping up. My druid needs to come over, stun the druid, and then cyclone, and then what I'm going to do is kinny the warrior. He ends up just landing a cyclone out of air. So he cyclones, I'm gonna kinny, and then I'm gonna cheap shot the druid instantly while my guys start popping off. So I cheap shot him, and then I'm gonna shadowy duel him. So as you can see, he gets kind of low here. He gets a huge bite. I end up shadowy dueling, and his rally falls, and he ends up dying. So his rally ends up killing him because the rally just takes so much HP up. So we really thought he was okay, but in reality, he just dropped. So versus this comp, I like going Mistweaver. Now, there's a certain way you can play to beat these Mistweavers. You want to get him away from support, which means, making the DPS go farther. So I kind of forced him till he was right out of his port. In the opener, we actually end up getting Trinket. I end up evasioning the Druid when he opens on me. And as you can see, when I get super slow, it means he's leaping at me. We end up getting Trinket Orb, which is insanely good for us. And we get Necro Shield. He ends up cycloning me. I'm not going to Trinket because that's fine. I did use evasion, but at the same time, the longer the game is, the better for us. All we need is go off DR. Now the goal here is my druid needs to be on the other pillar. So that forces the Mistweaver to go on the other side. Because we want the Mistweaver out of range. When he sickles, we're going to use our Curing File. If you guys didn't know this, you do now. If you Curing File sickle, it cancels it out. It'll take it off. And that's exactly what you use that for when you're facing druids. You save that Curing File for the sickle, and that'll cancel it. And that's basically the main part of the burst that actually just does unhealable damage. So at this point, all we need to do is get him away. At the time, I was trying to figure out how to do that because the Mistweaver was actually playing good by his port. So here, we end up going. The Mistweaver gets me out, which wasn't that big of a deal. I end up pre-sapping because I know he's going to get me out. I need the Mistweaver to force over. A lot of Mistweavers will just come over here anyway. This guy actually plays good. He actually ended up being just on the range of port. So he's just now a little bit, he's either a little bit out, or now he's in. So right now he's in. So I need him to get that same exact spot again, and then I'm going to kinny and then kill him. So we're just waiting for that Mistweaver to get to the same spot again. We're going to fake go here. So fake go is basically forcing the healer to come for him. I end up smoke on him. This is where we kill him. So he's out of port. He has no port down, and he's pretty much dead. Even without the symbols right then, we have Trinket down, it's GG, and we end up getting the first OW. Then obviously, when you're facing a druid, you still can't be, it is a druid. Don't think you can just kill somebody. They are strong. These classes can kill you even without CDs. If he gets bleeds on me and I have no evasion and no evasion, even with evasion, I can still die because I can't cloak any of the bleeds other than Swarm, and that's really not enough to keep me alive. So obviously we're going to wait off DR, wait for Mark for Death, because we don't really want to open with the cheap shot if we can avoid it. So this game was actually a close one. I face his HPL a lot, actually. I face him like once every other day when I'm doing, viewer games, but I end up just opening. My guy's playing survival. MM's a lot better. If he was on MM, we would have won like every single game because MM's it's insanely broken. I didn't see any MM nerfs, but maybe I mean I only checked out a few classes to make sure like the most you know consistent nerfs. So if you guys can let me know if they nerfed, I really hope they nerfed MM to where like it's not one shotting. It's just too broken right now. Let's be honest. So I end up shadowy dueling him low. So like right now, and then he vanishes. I'm gonna sap him, and then I'm gonna blades him, and then shadow, and then he just dies. It was just really insane. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, peace, my guys. Peace, peace.